If you're a business owner, you will get overwhelmed from time to time. And I want to be able to share with you ways that I fix this in my own life. And what's really interesting is, as I'm about to record this video to you, I felt really overwhelmed. I'm going to explain why, but I'm also going to explain how I'm fixing it live with you now so that you can learn from it yourself and put things into action that will help you get out of it. There's no doubt about it that we will get overwhelmed, and sometimes we can't always control that. And there's a whole bunch of reasons for that. But it's that moment of stopping, recalibrating, and fixing it. And if you can do that quickly, if you can do that efficiently, what you'll find is you've got this little tool in your toolbox that when you're going about your day and trying to build your business and do all the things, you can go, do you know what? I can fix this overwhelm. The overwhelm that you'll experience will come from all manner of things. For me, I'm probably a little bit tired. I've been doing an awful lot of activities at the weekend where I've been pushing myself, and it's Monday morning. And on top of that, we're going away in a couple of hours' time because we've got a client event tomorrow. And we've got a bunch of clients coming down to a lovely hotel in the New Forest. We've got an event to put on. And every quarter we do this. And although we're quite good at putting these events on, I want to make sure that tomorrow is the best possible day we can put on for our clients. So I've got that mental pressure that's saying, right, have we got everything? In amongst all that, I've got all the things that I need to do to get away from the basics of the dog needs to go into the dog home or wherever he goes to be looked after. I've got to pack my suitcase. I've got to collect all my belongings that I need for tomorrow. I've got to make sure that I'm prepared for all of the nuances that will happen. The hotel environment is very good, but they need to know the delegates, the attendees, and of course you'll get all that last minute stuff going on as well. So that's one bit of overwhelm. The second bit of overwhelm is that I suddenly realized over the weekend, while I was doing a load of other things, that I haven't done my YouTube videos for this week in preparation, partly because we've just come back off of 2 weeks holiday and I got a little bit of a lag in my system, and I got completely distracted with something else last week that was really important, but it meant that the YouTube videos, which I'm doing on a Monday morning, have to be done now before I go away. So you can sense there's a bit of urgency to stuff going on. And you might find you've got too many things to do. Equally, you might find you haven't got enough to do. I see business owners who don't have enough sales, don't have enough things going on in their life, and they're almost like desperate to be busy chasing something that doesn't exist. In some cases, you'll see people getting really busy, and it's the time that they'll go and tidy their desk, rebrand their logo, mess around with their website. They'll do all that sort of stuff because it feels like you're being busy and productive when in fact you're just making a lot of noise. You're just messing around doing stuff that really isn't that important. And that's a clue, because when I look at how I feel in this overwhelmed state, I've got something up on my board which is just a reminder. And that reminder is, what is the one task that will make the biggest impact today? The next part of that is, what am I doing to make sure that I do that? Have I put things into my calendar? Have I planned my day? Now, whether that's physically in my calendar, or grab a pen and a whiteboard or a piece of paper and make a list of the things that you need to do. The making of the list is a great way of unpacking what's going on in your head. It's a great way of sitting there and going, right, what is it that's going around in my head? I sometimes feel like my thoughts are like a bunch of children. And I used to teach many years ago, I used to teach football training. And we had some weekends where we'd have like over 100 kids turning up to be coached with a group of us. Dare to say I didn't do it all on my own, but with a group of us. And you've got children between 4 and 10 all excited to play football on a Saturday morning. And we've got big bags of footballs and goalposts and pitches, and just trying to gather them all together to split them into groups so that we can manage the day. That's how my thoughts feel like. I've got all these things running around. And so the first thing to do is to make a list. And that's what I've done prior to this video and what I shall do after this video. I'm going to make a list of all the things that are going on today, all the things that are going on tomorrow, because they're quite urgent. And then I've got some things that I know that are playing on my mind that I either need to get to or have to do, or maybe I've just forgotten. And they haven't really been forgotten, but they're out of focus. And they're probably right in the back of my mind going, oh, don't forget you got this thing to do. Don't forget you got that to do. For example, I know our business has got a VAT return to submit this month. It's 3 weeks to go, so I've got plenty of time, but I know that will be sitting there going, don't forget to do the VAT return, don't forget to do the VAT return. So I've got to make sure that that is out of my brain and somewhere. And so therefore, one of the most important things that you can do today to have the biggest impact is to stop and have a plan. Stop and sort out all your thoughts. Grade them between A, B and C thoughts, A, B and C urgency, importance. There is a whole bunch of stuff that we all have that, do you know what? If you were sick today, if you couldn't work because you had the flu and you weren't very well, you would just go, I don't feel very well, I don't care anymore, I'm going to bed, I need to get well. So getting well would be the most important thing. Everything else would wait, would be delayed by default. Everything would just wait. Have you ever had something really urgent to do and you needed somebody else and you chased them up and you say, hey, you've got this information so we can do such and such. And they go, yeah, I'm going on holiday, I'll be back in 2 weeks. Oh, okay. So I can't do my thing because you're going on holiday or whatever, yeah? And so you get this delay process of other people's information. So you have to recalibrate. You have to say to yourself, okay, what was the urgency? What was the deadline? And for the vast majority of things that have a deadline, it's the deadline that we put in our own minds that we set something for. We say, we must do this by because, and the holiday one is a great example. I will have clients sometimes say to me, oh, I've got to get it done by Friday. Could you get this done for me by Friday? And I go, yeah, why is it so urgent? I'm going on holiday. And I'm like, well, why is it got to be done by Friday? No, I'm going away. I just want to clear my desk. And that's the urgency. They want to be able to go on holiday and know that everything is done. And so their urgency then becomes suddenly my urgency. And this thought process that goes on when you've got lots of things going on in your mind, lots of things that are perhaps out of routine. I'm very much a routine person, so going away for a couple of days is a little bit out of routine. We do it regularly, but once a quarter. And so I've got to make sure, and I've got to go through my checklist to make sure I've got everything. Vicki will do the same with her stuff that she's got to do. And so that process is important to sit and make that list. Now, when you do make that list, what you will end up with is, and you have to force yourself, you have to say to yourself, what is the one task that will make the biggest impact? Now, let's just go through this. One task. You don't want 4. You want 1. You can have one task, do it, and then return to a next task. But you've got to have one task that will make the biggest impact today. What will make the biggest impact today? What can you do today that means when you start tomorrow, you're on the up? Now, for some people, the biggest impact today is to absolutely get laser focused on your sales and marketing. Because if you made a list of all your problems, you might look at it and go, most of these problems can be solved with a bag of money. If I had some cash, I could do all these things. I could take the money, pay other people to do these things. I could take the money and do the things that need to be done. So therefore, the only thing to do is to get more customers. The only thing to do is to get more sales coming in. For other people, you might be very busy, you've got plenty of customers, but the money isn't quite there. You're thinking, well, we're working hard, we're full up, the capacity is there, but I'm not making enough money. So maybe the one biggest thing you need to do today is to look at your profitability, study your data, study your numbers, and ask, if I'm doing all this work with all these costs, where's the money? Where is it? Because if you know where the profits are, if you know where the money is, if you know where the next crop of sales are coming from, if you know that you've organized your team and given them clear instructions and they can go out and do whatever it is you've asked them to do, if you know that, what you've gained yourself is clarity. And if you've got clarity, you then have focus. And that's what this channel is all about. Building or putting together practical ways of implementing the things that you need to do to make more money and have an easier life. We spend a lot of time with creative people. Fantastic, because I love creative industries. Because when I see what they're doing, it's like, oh my God, that's so exciting what you're doing. But the challenge with creative people is that the way our thoughts go and our brain goes, it goes all over the place to be creative, and that's great. But the downside of it is that you can very easily attract overwhelm. So we have to have this balance of being organized and disciplined with lists versus this allow yourself to be creative. And of course, actually, the two go hand in hand, because if you feel overwhelmed, take a time out, make a big list of things, pick out the priority, and then you can forget the whole list. That's what I find. I can write everything down, put it into my tasks in my Google Calendar, look at my Google Calendar for the next week, month, quarter ahead, make sure everything's in, put everything in, use my own standard operating procedures for our business and check that I've done everything. And I go, yeah, I've checked everything that's supposed to be done. I've put everything into the calendar. I've taken everything off my immediate communication and put it all into a task list. Right. Take a break. What's the most important thing today? So this morning, as I was trying to get dressed and decide what to wear today, because I've got something I'm going to do later on this afternoon, and then we got the event and clothes to take and equipment, my brain was beginning to pop off a little bit. I went, okay, what is the most important thing for me to do today? Well, it's this YouTube video. I wanted to share this with you and get this out because I'm now going to be out of the office for 2 days. So I'm not going to get my YouTube videos done this week, and I needed to get one out for tomorrow's posting. That's the commitment that I made as part of my yearly goals that I set back in January. So I hope that gives you some clues as to how you can fix your overwhelm. And somewhere in amongst that, if you have any questions, leave some comments below, and I will continue to make these videos talking about similar sort of things in different ways and practical applications, and we'll see you soon.